During the last 3.5 years that it's been out of sight because of the accident, lifted truck hit the driver's side from the rear quarter panel all the way about 2/3 up on the driver's door. Vicious has matured, grown up, and is now wearing a tuxedo, which I thought kind of says it all.
Welcome to High Octane Hustle. I'm Fastlane Jane.
And I'm Design Muse.
And this is
Chris Marechal.
Woohoo!
Welcome today.
Thank you
is
for
exciting.
having me.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
And as we were talking off camera, this is my first podcast ever.
That's
How
amazing.
exciting.
That's super exciting for us, too, because of the fact that hopefully we'll break you into your media tour.
We're
That's gonna
honored
happen.
that you chose us to do this because, I mean, as far as your vehicles and stuff and the media and attention you've gotten with them, that surprises me that it's your first, you know?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Sean at Autotopia is generally the front man for Vicious.
Okay.
So any opportunities.
He's great at speaking, right?
Oh, I want to say I helped in his training
Yeah.
to be a front man.
Love it.
I love it.
I mean, numerous shows. Yeah. Sean has always been the front man for Vicious.
Yeah.
And at this latest SEMA 2023, I kind of had a coming out, facing the audience, talking to the audience. Really enjoyed the unveil, and actually really dug. I talk about the car all the time, so I felt comfortable in that. And the Q&As went fine, and just kind of felt I got over that fear, or at least the initial
do you know
fear.
what changed, or were you just more excited about
Bringing Vicious 2.0 back?
Yeah.
I was on a euphoric high for probably 2 weeks, the week leading up, that I knew it was going to happen, and then, of course, experiencing the week at SEMA. It was just unreal. I brought 4 cars to SEMA, 3 being Vicious, and then 1 being Devious. And this was the smoothest, felt the most comfortable, knew many more people there, so yeah, it was.
You've done this a few times, huh? Besides being in front of the camera and things like that.
Well,
you've been to SEMA. You've
since 14, I think, was my first one.
Okay.
And 16 was the unveil of Vicious. 17, Ford Motor Company had me bring Vicious back out in 17, and then Devious was in 19 at the Keystone booth, and then now with C-Tek, who is a wonderful host. Oh my gosh.
They had a beautiful booth, and the way everything was set up was...
That cool platform.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, gosh, it was gorgeous.
They left it
made
in
it-
red,
yeah.
and it just highlighted
It did.
the black paint on it.
Yeah.
I thought it was. My wife called me and said, "Did you pinstripe the car?"
Yeah.
I mean,
Perfect
it
reflection,
really
yeah.
did highlight that.
Yeah.
Well, and we were talking, too, because Greg was there, Greg, my husband, Greg, and he was talking about how much different the car looked with black shiny paint, right? That beautiful gloss black paint, and it really highlighted so many different parts of that car that he didn't really notice as much. How do you feel about that, the color change, really?
At first, I was a little apprehensive about it because Vicious is known for the Vicious titanium silver and the matte, and it really looked tough. But as Jason up at Timeless Kustoms, my builder, said, during the last 3.5 years that it's been out of sight because of the accident, lifted truck hit the driver's side from the rear quarter panel all the way about 2/3 up on the driver's door. So it's been out of commission. He said, Vicious has matured, grown up, and is now wearing a tuxedo, which I thought kind of says it all, right?
Yeah.
And going with the gloss really makes a statement, and I do think that it's a little more subtle on the body mods.
Yep, I agree.
It's not so much in your face, so it's just a little bit more. I mean, they're still there, but a little more subdued.
Yeah, the matte sheen makes those all the body lines stand out more.
It does.
Definitely,
It does.
But the contrast of that interior to that exterior paint now is like spot on.
I kept on saying to people, if you didn't like the interior back then, you're really going to hate it
'Cause it
now.
stands out way
because
more.
It's in your face.
Yep.
And
Much
you know,
higher
I love
contrast.
it. And
Yeah.
to get the leather, the Line-X, the paint, the Alcantara, all to match, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to source all those colors. I think it's a Viper red. So, but I like it.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
The car is all about being in your face, so it wouldn't be appropriate to have something subtle. Or the normal things you would expect, like AC,
Totally
sound
agree.
deadening, right?
Might as well feel every aspect of it.
Oh, you drive that car, right? I mean, you feel it
You
when you're
feel
driving it.
literally every sensation, and
Yep.
then more that your body can produce. It's there. It
Yeah.
brings it out of you.
What
Definitely.
inspired originally the build? Tell us like how that. We already know that you were into cars and into rock and roll and skateboarding and all of those things. And don't worry, folks,
Well,
we're going to have plenty of pictures on that.
I was just gonna say, did we all know that?
Well, we learned that behind the scenes, guys.
So why don't we kind of go back a little
Yes.
bit and start with that? What got you into cars, kind of, you know?
During high school, we had a very active garage band, I'll call it. None of us were aspiring to go on and make a living out of it, but we were in demand in the San Fernando Valley, Agora, Malibu, and cars and guitars go together.
Yeah.
I like that.
And skateboarding, right? The Mustang was always photographed at the beach with surfboards and guitars, and so I kind of grew up in that era. I graduated in 75, right? So in the early 70s, when
big
hippies
culture.
were there, and I had 21 inches of hair cut off for high school graduation. And so I think it was 73, wasn't all that old of a car. I bought a 67 SS 350 Camaro.
Yeah.
And that
Started on the other side first, huh?
I did. Actually, I've never been, opposed to having, engine
both-
swaps
They're both
of
amazing
different.
vehicles.
We
I
want one of
mean,
each.
I agree.
everything
I
good.
agree.
And I enjoyed it. And of course, modded it every extra 10, 20 bucks. I was at the speed shop getting traction bars, Coney shocks.
Right.
Even found a guy
What
near.
speed shop were you going to?
God, what was
Is
it
there a-
called?
Was it the one on Van Nuys?
It was one on Olympic.
Service Center?
Olympic,
Oh, out in-
Olympic out in West LA.
Okay.
Cool.
But it was the go-to place if
Yeah.
you want bolt-on headers, mufflers, just what shocks. But I liked the OEM wheels on it, so I found a guy near the Van Nuys Airport that actually split the rim, the wheel, and
Oh.
widened it, right? Because they were like 4 inches wide or something like that, and he widened them to 8 inches, which was
Yeah.
big at the time.
Sure.
So, yeah. And so it always had kind
Did
of
you
a Trans
plan on
Am
racing it
kind
there?
of Trans Amish kind of look about it, and the hills of the valley, Mulholland
Mulholland,
were kind of
yeah.
our stomping grounds.
Yeah.
Cruising on Van Nuys Boulevard.
Right.
Right during, I would say probably the prime, which would be 73, 74, 75.
That's cool.
I think. And so kind of got me started in cars. And then I went kind of more business, so I wanted still kind of I bought a 78 Trans Am, Smoking the Bandit, T-top.
Yes. Oh, yes. I would like one of those still.
It lagged totally on power, which we're all used to now, but it handled well, and up at 75, 85, it kind of was a real sweet zone in it.
Yeah.
And the turn lock was incredible, probably the best of its time. And a fun car. My wife made me sell it because I had too many cars sitting around. So I sold it to a kid at a mechanic shop that I used up when we lived up in San Ynez, a little north of Santa Barbara. So I sold it to him for $1,000, and I knew I was doing him a solid because the car was mint. Gives me $200, takes it home, and his mother says he can't have it until he graduates high school, which was like 6 months away. So his older brother took it out with 3 other friends and wrapped it around a tree on Alisal Road. Just launched it and hit a tree. And so we went to look at the damage, and I'm going to my wife, look what you made me do.
Were all the kids okay?
That's like kicking one of our cats out of the house and finding it dead on the road, right? I mean, it was painful to see.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I guess I'm never going to get that money back.
Yeah.
But sure enough,
Right.
like 2 weeks later, hear the doorbell ring, and it was a kid honoring his debt and paid me $800 in cash. And
Hopefully, you got that from his mom and dad.
I don't know
Or
where
the one
he,
who
I
said
don't know
he
where
can't
he got
drive it.
But I thought it was honorable for a
Yes.
kid
Of course, yeah.
to live up to his
Definitely.
responsibility.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had wrote off the debt.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't think I was going to get it.
Yeah.
So then, what did your wife put you in after that? What kind of car?
I went total business. Real estate was my background. And so
Okay.
we went with SUVs,
Okay.
like full size.
I can picture you like in a Cadillac SUV.
It was more like suburban.
Okay.
Okay.
Bought a
Very
hotel
cool.
down in La Jolla, and it served me well to, it was a 9 passengers. So what was cool is the front was a bench, but you fold down the armrest, and it was 2 seats that
Right.
moved, separate from each other.
Yeah.
But when I had to haul some people up to Scripps Institute, San Diego, University of San Diego, it helped.
Yeah.
When I do groups,
Yeah.
I can run them 5 minutes up the hill.
That's something else you and I have in common. Well, 2 other things, real estate and then UC San Diego. That's where Mason went to school. So I spent a lot of time down there. Yeah, it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, for me it was probably 75 through, well, really till now that I was
Yeah.
doing real estate. But
That's awesome.
used to manage 7 million square feet of real estate.
Holy cow.
Wow.
3,800 acre ranch up in Santa Barbara County.
Very cool. I'm not going to
So
lie.
when you're saying real estate, though, are you said you're managing these or you're just selling it?
The company that I worked for,
Yeah.
private company, we had comprised of shopping centers, like 2 malls, a lot of office buildings down
So you're
in Newport
managing,
Beach,
too.
and a lot of stuff in
Yeah.
Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina. Yeah, all
That's
over the
rad.
place.
So you
So I-
still doing that?
I
little bit?
I flipped a house last year.
Just
and
curious. I wanna know what you're
flipped
doing
a
now.
house last year, and I didn't even have to travel, and made some decent
Yeah.
money during the
Yeah.
end of the pandemic. I think I sold it just at the right time before
Nice.
prices
Yeah,
became
because
soft.
California real estate is definitely in a unique space right now, and I think all over we've got interest rates that are climbing, et cetera. And yeah,
I'm just
Yeah.
holding on to some cash and wait for
the right
something to happen.
there you go.
Maybe build another vehicle?
I was
What?
gonna say it might be another car.
I just want to enjoy Vicious right now, so
Right.
that's top on my priority.
What's the? Go ahead.
I know, both of us. No, I'll let you. Baja Forged, signature vehicle builds and off-road products built to forge your own path. Baja Forged was basically made because we loved off-roading. We loved the open roads. If you're looking for off-road products to help you get out on the terrain, visit bajaforged.com. Follow us on Instagram at Baja Forged for our latest builds.
Since 1987, GTS Customs has specialized in resto mod Corvettes. From widened bodies to pro touring vehicles with all today's modern technology. If you've got a Corvette, an old Corvette, and you want to make it drive like something new, contact gtscustoms.com. What's the next date that you have to show off Vicious? Where is it going to be next? Tell us your schedule. What's happening?
Actually,
car.
let's see. This weekend, we
Sure.
have about 6 Mustangs getting together. I think mostly fastbacks.
Very nice.
Some ringer ones. And Vicious is going to join in, and we're going to cruise down to, from OC, from,
Okay.
Orange County area into the quarantine cruise.
Okay.
Kind of make a
Yeah.
little disruptive arrival there. I think
I
it would
like
be
it.
cool. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you mentioned horsepower or that some of these vehicles weren't as fast, but I don't know if people know how fast your vehicle is. So how much horsepower, I should say, it has.
Well, first off, it's a compound boosted car.
I love that.
All right. And if it was easy, I think we would have seen a few more at SEMA, but to my knowledge, it was the only one there.
Yeah.
There could be a Euro car of some sort that may have a similar concept, maybe a turbo feeding another turbo, I've
Yep.
heard. But this has
You're doing
a
supercharger and
2,300,
turbo.
liter supercharger on top and twin 68 millimeter precision ball bearing turbos.
That is rad.
So the concept is the supercharger is going to get you off the line, and then the turbos will eventually carry you through. It's super linear. The 26 pounds of boost in the car, so it takes off like a rocket ship.
And it sounds like a rocket ship.
It does. We run E85
That's so crazy.
for kind of two reasons. Number one, it's cheaper than race fuel, and number two, it's the flame rate on E85 is like 178 degrees versus race fuel or 91 is like in the 98 range. And because we run our exhaust literally right underneath our fuel tank, which is in the trunk of the car, it's kind of a safety reason
Yeah.
that we run E85. It's water and corn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting.
But it blows flames, and it gives us the boost that we need. And it's I just filled up 20 gallons in my gas jugs yesterday, and I think it was $3 a gallon.
I know. That would be nice right now.
Right.
And you can find it locally then? It's
It's
easy.
more and more. Before I
'Kay.
used to have to drive out to the north end of the valley,
Yep.
the 210 and the 5
Yeah.
from Tarzana. Now
Out in the sticks.
I used to wake up
Kind
at
of. No. Yeah.
I used to wake up at 4 in the morning so I could do the round trip in about 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Getting fuel so I'm not stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
At any given time. Now they're up and down Sherman Way.
Cool.
Every couple of miles.
Yeah. I mean, across the country, there obviously you can find it a lot more, but in California, not as much. These areas.
They're
So
starting to
you're-
include
yeah,
it in
it's starting to
several of
happen
them.
more.
I'm seeing them pop up, but
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, though, when we're talking about traffic, what time do you have to leave the house to get to the quarantine cruise? Because they start pretty early, right? And knowing that where the location is, you've got a little bit of a distance, right?
we do. It's probably 62 miles to where I'm going to trailer it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
And then it's probably a 15 mile from where I'm trailering it to the actual cruise startup point.
Okay.
That's
So
cool.
we'll get our
Yeah.
road in and do our little show and tell. And I think
I
after
love it.
that, we'll go back to where we were. I don't think we're going to do the entire cruise.
Yeah. Is it like, for instance, Greg's Corvette, when we were talking about power tour, he's like, nope, you're not taking my car because it's not really cut out for street. It's enough street so you can get it from point A to point B. Is Vicious along those lines where we want to watch more of it leaving the parking lot and coming back to the parking lot rather than getting it on the road kind of thing?
Well, the time I took it, I think we're coming on quarantine cruise 45 maybe, and I got hit on 3. And I literally left Autotopia, LA, the shop here, and drove it down with a bunch of cars. And I did that several times. I've taken it up in the hills, up at Latuna Canyon, out in Malibu, Trancas Road.
Yeah.
So I take it from the shop, and it's super comfortable. I enjoy it. Probably has a 200-mile range.
Okay.
Okay.
on the
Fuel.
car.
Yeah.
Driving some bit normal. I think 6 gear on the freeway, 15 miles a gallon.
That's cool.
But jamming on it, you're
yeah.
under
Eating,
10.
Yeah,
probably.
you're eating through there.
Yeah.
And I think
I mean, in the off-road vehicles I have, they're all lower range. They're all 9 or 10 anyway. So.
And I think that, with that particular vehicle, with its notoriety, you do have to be a little cautious and with regards to when you're on the street or when you're on the highway, because people do stupid bleep.
They do. I've kind of gotten used to it. Never knew it was going to draw that kind of attention.
Okay.
But if I'm driving the streets here in Burbank area, cell phones come out, people looking out the window as they're driving with their cell phone on. So I've got to be careful
Yeah.
and conscientious that they do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And especially I'll be driving on the freeway and I'll see like a BMW doing this to me.
They're just
And I'm going,
pacing you,
really?
right?
Really? Really?
Yeah.
I don't
'Cause
want
they
to. I don't want
they
to
wanna be
embarrass you
famous.
that
Yeah.
bad.
That's awesome.
Or they want to be famous.
And I want to go back to the question that you kind of had before, but where did this journey kind of like start with getting into devious and vicious, and how did that lead up to that, and where did that inspiration come to build like pretty iconic vehicles?
Originally, I had a desire just to go to SEMA, just to say I did and build a car. And, not even a great car, but I just wanted to get to
Everyone
SEMA.
wants to go to SEMA, yeah, totally.
love it.
Yeah.
So, had a 65 fastback, ended up being named Devious. Bought that out of Arizona, and it's just some fluff kind of,
Paint and petunias kind of thing.
customization to it, but nothing serious.
And what year was this then? That
14.
okay.
14, I think.
Yeah.
14,
So
because
you're
that was the
saying-
first
okay.
year I went to SEMA. Didn't bring the car. Car got finished. Drove like a piece of crap. Hated it.
Okay.
Hated it.
That's great. Okay.
So
Hated it.
So
Tell us
we're-
how you really feel.
So curious though, were you involved with regards to the actual decisions made on the build? Or was that something you left to a builder and kind of went that? How did you?
It was kind of stock, so the engine was just dressed up, powder coating this, that, and the
Okay.
other. Looked
Yeah.
kind of cool.
No horsepower.
Fake Shelby,
Got
valve covers, and just looked okay. You know,
Okay.
I had a new paint job,
like most of the
new
fluff
wheels,
that goes to SEMA?
but just driving it, just black power, obviously.
Yeah.
It was just
So it was a
POS
little bit
all the way
more
around.
Original and
Right? That's
stock.
in 65. Yeah.
It just was a pretty car.
I mean, I didn't
pretty
even,
car.
yeah. So in a roundabout way, I found Jason at Timeless Kustoms, brought the car up there, and told him that what I wanted, right? I wanted that hood to go down, the heat extractor hood that Vicious
Right,
has, right?
right.
Thought that would be cool, maybe some GTR, door handles,
Yeah.
cage it up, do a coyote in it. So that was kind of the way we were going.
Okay.
And Detroit speed suspension in it.
Okay.
And we had
So
some
you wanted
mini
something that
tubs.
had some drivability, maybe a little pro
Right.
touring.
Yeah. And I had maybe 165 grand into the car at that point.
Oh, and you weren't happy with it.
No,
with that.
no,
Yeah,
no,
I know.
no, no, no.
That was
And that's what
Yes.
people don't realize.
I would
Like,
have
oh,
to
yeah,
add on
yeah.
what happened
Right.
previous, right?
Right.
The donor
Yeah.
cost me 20, and I
Yeah.
want to say another 40 into the car.
Right.
Yep.
So there was 60, not including the 160.
Sure.
But if you're starting over, you got to kind of wipe out what you spent
Absolutely.
before, or you're going to be
Clean slate.
angry about
Yeah.
every dime you spent.
Yeah.
So
I hope everyone's listening to that, because that's the thing is people think they can just keep doing that. But like you said, you weren't happy with it in the beginning, and it wasn't going to change the way the suspension and it handled and all that. You needed to start over, like
exactly,
you said.
exactly.
And at that point too, there's a little bit of a learning curve as well. You're learning what you don't like.
Yeah,
and
totally.
now you know how to
Totally.
get. Okay, now how do I get to what I do want and
mean,
what I expect out of the car?
My 67 Camaro ran way better than that
Oh,
with
no.
conies and traction
Interesting.
bars
Yeah.
and a built motor.
Yeah.
4-speed hearse in it. I mean, so it was bad. So we started to move on with Devious, and Craig Morrison, God rest his soul,
Yeah.
passed away during COVID,
Yeah.
of Art Morrison
Morrison's
Enterprises.
son, yeah.
They had just finished doing their independent rear suspension. And I think maybe it was on one other car, but he was down at the shop talking with Jason and said this would be the first Mustang it would go in if you decide to go that route. So Jason talks to me and I go, well, number one, there's no way I'm cutting up $165,000 into the car, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How are we
just-
doing that?
I know.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
I said, if we do it, we buy a new donor.
Yeah.
And so we
Good
bought
idea.
a 65 coupe. And I decided at that point to go in, all in. And during the beginning of it, then we started coming up with the crazy ideas like the sequential 6-speed. The car was always going to be built around the Kumo ACR Viper
Tire, yeah.
right? 355s in the rear, 305s up front. And so, but it happened quickly because we made a commitment to MagnaFloat to be at SEMA 9 months later. So 10,000 hours in the car
That's
to
insane.
creating
rad.
it.
I know.
You know what? Some really
That's
good,
what people
yeah,
don't realize.
really good ideas are kind of talked about over tables, not unlike this. And next thing you know, you're putting something at the MagnaFlow booth 9 months later, SEMA Crunch. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
We know that.
You make it
Yeah.
happen. And that's
Yeah.
the thing is, I think with this industry that a lot of people realize, like, people are so excited. Like, I'm sure, like, as you spoke about this, like, everyone else got just as excited as you were about it, or even more so. Like, hey, we can put this chassis in. Hey, we could, like, all these ideas were probably coming together. But all of us get excited about a cool project to work on.
And it raised to the level of at least what we thought at the time was the best of the best in
Yeah.
terms of the components. Motec,
Yeah.
RideTech,
Yeah.
the Art Morrison fully independent suspension, 15
Totally.
and a half inch
Yep.
carbon ceramic Brembo brakes.
Yeah, you were
precision
pushing the limits
turbos.
of technology of everywhere where it was. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Magnuson superchargers. So
That's so
Sparco.
cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
so everything was top-notch equipment to achieve a 9/10 race, 1/10 street car.
I love that. Yeah.
Really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a race car.
Yeah.
It's a track car.
Yeah. And with that, like the inspiration, and as you guys are talking, did Jason have a lot more input then of like, with the idea of how the direction went? Was it a lot more of you? Like, where did that how did you guys kind of come together and what that looked like?
I want to say we discussed everything, but Jason is the master fabricator, craftsman. So he's got to package all of that up into a Mustang body and put a Coyote in there, right? I mean, it kind of looks like a Ram with the engine like this, and then the turbos are out here.
Right.
Right? I mean, kind of incredible.
Yeah.
The way the headers sweep back to it.
Yeah.
Turbo or the supercharger on top. He's got to package all that up, do the fabrication. Definitely some, as Sean Smith would say, sketching in some metal as you're going
Right.
along. There were no CAD drawings or anything like that. It was, where's this going to go? Where are the intercoolers
That's
going?
what people don't get a lot of times. I mean, you can do that in CAD, but you have just as many hours sometimes, and not. There's the little things that the CAD doesn't see, sometimes that obviously in real time when you're doing it, it just works better.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and I think that if somebody like Jason, you look at that and you see the artwork that comes out. So he is engineer and artist all together, creating this vision from, components, like just what
From
you,
a thought, really.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys are just discussing, totally.
It's
Yeah.
just like a
Yeah.
thought. It just
Yeah.
kind of came around
Yeah,
in
and a vision
like
of what.
January or February of 16.
and then
And then we're at SEMA.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
going full tilt.
Well, he had, I think, 18 guys on the crew, and they were putting in 45 to 55 hours a week
Wow.
on the
That's a
car.
lot.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Generally, that's if
Yeah.
you're putting everyone on it. But I don't think there was any time less than 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And was there something that made you go to him? Was there like another vehicle like he had built that made you?
To Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like Devious, the first rendition of
And
that.
he didn't do devious. Let's make that clear, right?
No, I brought it to ER to have him fix it. Make it
Good.
right.
I'm like, we don't need to bash on the other shop.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
how
yeah.
did you find Jason?
I'll just leave it that someone suggested him.
Yeah, so
Okay.
somebody
Okay.
gave you a recommendation,
Yeah.
you went, you hit it off,
Yeah.
there you go. That
Yeah.
was perfect. That's awesome because
Right.
looking at the iterations of all the vehicles that
Yeah.
he does, not just Devious or not just Vicious, right? Because we're still in Devious time, right? We're still talking about him repairing Devious and then moving into Vicious, which was the new 65. So he's done 2 vehicles now. Resurrected the first one
Correct,
and
correct,
birthed
correct.
the second,
Right.
for lack of a better term.
Originally, my wife says, okay, we're going to go all in on Vicious, but you have to finish Devious
She's a smart woman.
at the same time. So I'm writing 2 checks out.
I love it.
Okay, 100K.
I love it.
you know,
Every month.
100K, another
Yeah.
100K, right?
Yeah.
It gets,
Or more.
And that's the thing that I don't think that people appreciate. They look
Yeah.
at a car like Vicious or like Devious and think, well, how much could it cost? Hey guys, about $1 million or
Yes,
more.
yes,
Yeah, when you're
yes.
looking at that kind of top
You're
quality.
fully fabricating almost every component that's on there. I mean, yes,
For
you know,
Vicious,
there-
not Devious.
Y- yes,
Devious
right,
is
yes.
more
right.
That's
of
why
a-
it was 100. It was
the stepchild.
in the same.
Devious was 3-ish.
And it's not
Yeah.
in the same category. You
No.
can't even
No,
compare
no.
them.
Yeah, you
you
can't
know,
put
and
them
it's
together.
Yeah.
They can't be in the
Devious
same
was
room.
always meant to be street performance.
Sure.
Yeah.
It has AC, power windows. You could drive
Right
it
on.
up. You could drive it back east if you wanted with no
Yeah.
issue. You take it to a Ford dealer,
Yeah,
right? Even though
Yeah.
it's a built motor, they'd
they'd still be
Yeah.
able
it
to.
was that did 635 I think at the tire,
That's
and about
rad.
same amount torque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
Still,
no slouch.
yeah.
Sold it
Yeah.
to Joe Rogan
Cool. Yeah.
about a year and a few months ago or so.
Yeah.
And but the shop became overwhelmed with doing 2 cars at once.
Yeah.
So I said, let's put Devious aside, put everyone on to Vicious.
Yeah.
So we were able to accomplish that. And I want to say maybe a year after we finished Vicious, they started working back on Devious, and Pretty Blue, lots
Yeah.
of compliments on that
Yeah.
car.
Because it's blue and black.
Blue with a black interior.
Yeah.
It was a
And
sexy
then black
car.
accents on that, like black wheels and black. Did it have black wheels?
Black wheels.
Yeah.
We had a
Bumpers.
spoiler.
Yeah,
had 'em
splitter or
Put
whatever.
a front splitter on, then
Very
a
cool.
nice little spoiler on the back, which I knocked off in carbon fiber for Vicious.
Yeah.
But we held up the beautiful piece. In fact, if anyone wants a 64 to 66, spoiler for a Mustang, carbon
We've
fiber.
got one. Let us know. Drop a comment.
I got the molds, 2 different versions of it. But we held it up to the back of Vicious 2.0, and we go, God, it really looks good. But are you going to commit to start drilling holes into your carbon fiber trunk
No, thank you.
that we just got, right?
Can we just Velcro it
was
on?
one of those kind of things.
How much did you just pay for that?
Two-sided tape.
Yeah, just a little something. Like 3M has to
I
come
swear
up
it
with a
won't fly
product
off.
for that.
No.
No.
We took it off, and the booty of Vicious just looks so good. You don't need to kind of interrupt it with
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good call.
Devious, it looked beautiful on.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't normally see a spoiler
Yeah.
on the back.
It
Sean
adds a little
Smith
something.
designed that for me.
Yeah, it adds a little something. I remember it was 2016, right? 2016 when Vicious was introduced, or was it 2017 that Vicious was introduced at SEMA?
16. At
Yeah.
Magnaflow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which Rich is a sweetheart.
remember.
Oh my God, he embraced the Vicious build
Yeah, he's
without
great.
seeing renderings. I'd never met the man before.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah,
I'm
he's
sure
awesome.
Jason up at Timeless had ordered parts, but he's kind of
He's
not on the
He's like part of
radar.
that passion behind what Magnaflow is, you know?
Oh my God,
Totally. He's a great guy.
Just
yeah.
fantastic,
Yeah.
and has never stopped supporting Vicious.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
I find that him to be, as a lot of the suppliers, manufacturers get to know him, just like you and me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just another car person.
Right.
I said, and the passion is there. You can tell, and everyone gets excited about it. It's cool to meet other people in the industry. I mean, I say all the time, like, SEMA's like my family, because
Right.
it's like when other people get you and why you get so excited about doing a build like that or something, you know?
And the family keeps increasing.
Yeah.
And that's
it
what
does,
I love
yeah.
about SEMA is that friends from Germany flew out, friends from Sweden flew out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Met some people, some fans from South America. So,
He had a good SEMA.
I think it's all because it's a Ford, though.
found on road dead.
Well, I'm kind of curious. You went from, this Camaro streak early on and then switched over. Any reason why?
I think it was
I gotta ask the
Let me
question.
just start with this. She's kind of an instigator in this particular
Totally,
instance.
totally.
I think it was just a coin toss, right? The car
We won. Ford's won. Yeah.
Devious, right? My first Mustang was supposed to be a kind of a fix it up and flip it.
Oh,
but I
okay.
hated it so much I couldn't bear selling that to anyone. I'd be embarrassed. Seriously. I mean, you could use it for a movie, and
But then you wanted to do another one.
So I have this thought, though, because this leads into my other question
Okay.
that I was going to ask after. What's your next project? A Corvette, a Camaro, old school Camaro? You going to represent for the seaside? I know people. I know Corvette people. I know Jason can handle it.
I have a '66 Mustang convertible, probably about
What?
third-ish kind of the way done, and it's sitting in Jason's boneyard right now.
Okay.
And that's something that I don't even want to think about building.
Okay. You need
You're
kinda
trying
like
to
some-
now.
take
Vicious
some-
2.0 right now.
Take that all in. I
That's
don't want
it.
a project. Maybe I'll sell a project to someone.
There you go.
Who knows? Get
Yeah.
me. I'll learn to weld on YouTube and take it home. And
We can teach you at our Real Deal workshops.
there you go. There you go.
That's so funny. I think you'd be a perfect fit.
And we met during Muscle Kings Day.
Yep.
When they were doing the Muscle
It was like
Kings
one of-
Lounge.
Yep.
And you have a sister that works with you, right?
Yep.
And you both
That's
were
right.
there. I was super impressed with you guys then. And
He's even more
Obvious.
impressed with you now.
No, it was.
well, you
great.
came to SEMA with some, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, dark blue, maybe 50-ish truck with a Beamer motor in it. Was that you?
Just say yes.
No.
Oh.
I'm trying to think right now. I'm like
Some other lady that must have made it.
Bogey. So this it was probably Bogey because I think she does. That's what she is as a mechanic. So this year we did what was called the She Shed, which was a culmination of different organizations. So we had All Girls Garage. I'm sorry, Girl Gang Garage, because Bogey's part of both. We had the Jesse Combs Foundation, and then we had Real Deal Revolution, which I'm part of.
Okay.
When you saw my sister and I, we were doing, we have LGE CTS Motorsports, which we're doing a lot of projects in the Ford booth. So we've been building vehicles for like the Ford booth for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was impressed even back then.
Thanks. And so we've been doing some things like that. Now, more of my focus has been working with other women and trying to just raise more awareness that there are so many of us out there doing things like this.
Right.
So like, Jane and I doing this. And Ken, yes, Ken I've known, Ken Johnson, back from off-road days from Lucas Oil.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so when he started Muscle Kings, I think it was the first one that he had, like first or second lounge that we...
For Vicious?
Yeah, when we went there. I think literally it's his first one.
I think it was Vicious, and then Johan, his candy apple reddish Charger from Sweden.
Yep.
And I think we were both doing some B-roll together.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I think it was the first one.
I think so, too.
Unfortunately, I don't think they saved that episode.
Right?
Oh,
Which is kind of a rookie mistake. He had this pro team on there.
Right? It was a great, we did all of this and we my sister and I came too and all of this stuff. But I was like, I don't remember if it actually, if they
I think
played.
it went
was on
live.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I know it was on Facebook, But
for some reason, I don't know. Maybe I couldn't find it or didn't look on Facebook or
Oh,
So-
wow.
But that was a ball.
It was.
And I love
Ken's
Ken,
great.
and-
I mean,
yeah.
anything he does is great. So, and then Patrick too. I know there's a lot of, it's funny because we all kind of are in the same circles, but again, it's just car people. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're into off-road or street or what that is. Like you just all kind of get each other.
I think, and there's crossovers with
Totally.
all that.
So no more projects for you. Just showing off, just
enjoying,
showing
I
off your
mean.
car.
Oh, now it's time to enjoy.
Totally.
Seriously.
I think it's a great
I
idea.
mean, after we do any kind of show, then it's going to go hard on the track. As a matter of fact, I met Ben Collins. Name ring the bell to you? The Stig,
Oh,
Top Gear.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
that's-
The
Stuff
one with
rings
the
a bell.
helmet.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's won Le Mans,
yeah.
right?
So he's
Legit
gonna
guy.
teach you how to drive.
So
He's gonna get you behind the wheel and show you some things.
he wants to drive
Ooh,
Vicious, like badly. He's never driven a compound charge car. He totally gets what it's all about. He totally gets that it's the best of the best in terms of equipment. And he says, well, what track do you take to? And I go, well, taking out to Willow Springs. That's a lovely track. Right? So I'm going, all right.
I'd like to. I'd like to
Lovely.
see it at Laguna Seca. I think that would be sick.
When I
I'd like to
hear
see it
Vicious,
on
I don't think
Nürburgring.
of lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely is not the term that comes to mind. The
Lovely
track
track.
maybe, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
But no, he's chomping at the bit, so that's something that we'll do in 2024.
That's
We'll either
exciting.
get him out there or just takes a budget to take Vicious over there
right?
to Europe.
Yeah.
So that would be super exciting if we could spend a month over there with them.
How cool.
We'd have all the logistics kind of handled for us.
How exciting,
but
yeah.
It has to be on an airplane.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the phone last week. Must
And
be
I
on
think-
airplane.
Right.
I think it's 40, maybe 50 grand round trip,
Yeah.
kind of some number
I remember
like that.
back in the day, it was like, 15 to 20, and that was probably 10 years ago or something. So,
Yeah.
I could see
Well,
that.
being there in 12 hours versus
Yep.
maybe a couple months on the sea.
Yep, and you're not worried about damage and all of these. Like, it's right there. The biggest part is the damage part because we know so many vehicles.
Yeah.
I know when we went over to Saudi Arabia, there was tons of vehicles.
Oh, there were some missing.
Well, it was
Oh
because
my
of
gosh.
the
Yeah.
Optima brought a bunch of cars over.
Yeah. We were there. Oh gosh, I can't even. It escapes me. The expo that they had there. But yes, they were doing an auction, and there was damage. There was cars missing. I mean, you
And
don't
like
even
you
know.
said,
You
yeah,
literally don't
like
know
you
for
said, gone
weeks.
for
Yeah.
3-4 months.
Then you got to file an insurance claim. And are you really going to get what the car has
Yeah.
into it.
worth.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
That would be heartbreaking.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I totally understand where you're
Gutted.
coming from. If
Yeah. Holy
you want to be
cow.
watching it the whole time.
Absolutely. I want to be there when it arrives.
Yeah, totally.
It's oft. I want to be the one to start it up and take it off. I don't
Yeah.
want some, whatever, ground crew to think he knows how to
What
start
it's
it.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like this is going to happen. I feel like
I do.
Sounds
I
like
agree
it.
too. And I think that one of the things you should make sure, because we have an in with this guy, invite us to see the
I
track
just want to
run
ride
with
in
Collins.
it too.
Yeah. Right.
that happen.
I haven't asked for that yet. So
Yeah.
Well, you
But
know,
could
we
get
do
that
set
on
up
the
cameras for
track.
reactions, so
Yeah.
you'd have
Oh.
to sign a consent
Scream a
for
little.
that.
mine, yeah. You'll probably hear me over the car, but I don't know, maybe not. That car, that is probably one of the best sounding cars too. Every time
Oh, yeah.
listening to videos, I'm just like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds
no, I love
so
giving
good.
rides. I can do 5,000 RPM shifts. Your butt will be tuckered, all puckered up. Your head will be bobbling the whole time during gear shifts, even
like a
though
good
you know I'm
look, huh?
getting ready to do it, but it shifts in milliseconds. So
Holy cow.
I've already shifted and your head now is reacting.
That is
Yeah.
I
rad.
mean, it's crazy.
cool.
When we get back, you'll get out. I'll say,
Shotgun.
how you doing?
Right.
How you doing? You go, maybe 5 minutes before I start talking to anyone. 'Cause you really do need to regain your composure.
breath.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, when you hear the sequential,
Oh,
and
gosh,
the
yeah.
supercharger and turbos,
Yes.
And
it's
all
just
the stuff
loud
is
and
going
obnoxious,
on.
Oh, yeah.
and it's blowing out flames,
Yes.
and it's
Right for
loud.
us.
Oh gosh, I used to have just the supercharger on my Raptor, and just like I would get giddy I don't care who drove it. I
Yeah.
would just be smiling and giddy all the time. They're like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "This just is amazing. This sounds so good. It doesn't matter anytime." And oh my god, that car's the same
Yeah,
way.
there's a
every time I hear
symphony
it, I'm
of
just
sounds
like,
coming out of
is.
it.
That's
It is.
amazing.
A lot of people think that it's the supercharger turbos, but it's a sequential gearbox. I mean, it has its own distinctive sound, and it's loud.
Well, I'm looking forward to riding shotgun with him.
Oh,
and we're so
totally.
glad that you are our guest today and
Oh,
shared
thank you.
passion
Has
that
it
you
already?
have.
Really?
It's time.
No way.
We have to do a
It's
part
time.
2.
Yes, that's going to be
Part
out on the
2.
course.
That's gonna-
That's
yes.
going to be out on the
For
course.
sure. That's
Because
in the car.
we're,
Yeah.
2024 looks remote for us.
Well, you did
in a couple of
fantastic
instances.
today for your first time.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Another
you for
cheers
letting
right
us
here.
do it. Yes.
It was
Cheers.
fantastic.
Yes, cheers
so.
to you. Thank
Cheers.
you so much.
Cheers.
You guys, thanks so much. This is High Octane Hustle.
Thank
I'm
you.
Fastlane Jane.
And I'm Design Muse.
And this is,
Chris Marechal, thanks for having me.
oh my gosh, yes!
So
go
fantastic.
Vicious
That was
Stang.
great.
That was-
It went so fast, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, a drink,
Extra
and maybe
cheers.
now I can go have a smoke after you pop my cherry.